Today, we're on the trail of a gang of brazen bike thieves. They have no idea we're tracing their steps with a GPS tracker.
It's in broad daylight, he doesn't care who's watching him. It's quite shocking.
Plus, police put a stop to international car smuggling down at the dockside.
That isn't what I would expect to see from Land Rover, so that suggests to me this could well be a stolen vehicle.
And one woman mounts her own covert surveillance operation to track down a crafty burglar.
My dogs had been barking at something for 20 minutes, and finally I saw that there was a man in the living room.
Cycling is on the increase in Britain, with more and more of us taking to two wheels. We pedalled a massive 3.25 billion miles in 2014. Perhaps it's no surprise that a significant number of the country's bicycle thefts, almost 20%, occur in London. We want to find out where these stolen bikes go. And former Metropolitan Police Inspector Keith Farquharson is helping us.
We chose to run our scenario in the South West London borough of Wandsworth, one of the top 3 boroughs in London for cycle crime.
This borough recorded almost 1,400 cycle thefts in 2014. Since only 5% of victims ever see their bicycles again, the chances of recovering them are extremely slim. Unless the bicycle has been fitted with a GPS tracker like this.
So this is a tracking device, and that means that the device is able to figure out its location. It does that by using the global positioning system. The core of that technology is the ability of this device to measure the range from this device to orbiting satellites. Once you've got those numbers, you can plot the position of this device on a map.
We're hiding our tracker inside the saddle. It'll still give out a strong signal, even with someone sat on it. With the tracker fitted, the team head to a quiet spot in the target area. They chain up the bike with a heavy-duty lock. And from the data, we can see the tracker is live. The team move our vehicles to a discreet vantage point. They've hidden 3 cameras to catch the action. Now, we don't want to confront any thieves. We just want to see where property goes once it's stolen. All we can do now is sit back and observe. It's been a while, and there hasn't been any interest to speak of. He's having a quick look. Hello, he wants to have an even closer look. No, it seems his mates talked him out of it. A little later, look closely at these 3 lads cycling past. They've spotted our bike and are checking it out. They cycle off, but it's not long before they're back, with this guy on the Boris bike. It appears they're sussing out the area. One lad has dismounted to take a closer look. It seems they're discussing their next move. We've chosen a sturdy lock, so they'll have to show real criminal intent to prise the bike from the railings. This guy has other plans.
Hey, we don't know, wait, man. Taking the rules, man. Wait.
But his accomplice doesn't want to be hasty. Seems he wants the whole bike.
Look, if you go like this, no, look, I'm just showing you one thing. If you go like this, stamp on it. Okay.
They're testing the strength of the lock. But there are still too many people around to try and steal it. Charming. Shall we add Little out to his list of misdemeanors? Quite by chance, the nearby vehicles leave, so this could be their moment to strike. There they go. They unscrew the wheel nuts while the other 2 gang members keep lookout. In the blink of an eye, one wheel is off. and there goes the other. Then the thieves take off, leaving the wheelless frame dangling from the railings. As a bike frame can be worth hundreds of pounds, considerably more than the wheels, we decided to sit tight in case the bike jackers returned. Plus, our tracker is still inside the saddle. It's interesting that since it's lost its wheels, the bike frame seems to be attracting more attention. A little while later, and one of the thieves is back again. It seems he's brought someone else with him this time. Maybe they've come for the rest of the bike. He's not leaving without that frame. There you go. 2 tugs and it's off.
It's in broad daylight, he doesn't care who's watching him. It's quite shocking.
The thieves apparently have all of our bike. So we can now let the tracker do its job. We can see from the signal that the thieves don't go far, heading off around the corner, just a few streets away. Keith is on the case.
Tracking data showed that the frame went to property in the Wandsworth area, where it stayed for approximately 2 days.
The signal shows that the bike stayed in that neighbourhood, moving around a very small area.
Either he's taken the frame around from door to try to sell it, or he's rebuilt the bike and is using it within that area. My hunch is that it's the latter.
It's very likely the bicycle has been reunited with its wheels. Within days, it's on its way to a new location.
And it travels to Vauxhall, possibly transferred to a handler for onward sale. A handler is also known as a fence. They would take the item from the thief and either sell it to an innocent, unsuspecting member of the public or pass it along the criminal chain.
It doesn't stay here for long, though. The bike now travels south from Vauxhall to the Streatham area, where it stays for quite some time. It's likely it has now been sold to an innocent member of the public. The tracking data shows it commuting back and forth from Lucian Road to an address in southwest London. The GPS data gives an approximate location but won't pinpoint a single address. We wrote to several properties in the vicinity of the signal to try and alert them to the history of the bike. Clearly, no one is interested in talking to us, as we heard nothing from those addresses. So what can cyclists do to prevent their bikes from disappearing onto the black market?
Take care when leaving your bikes unattended. Always use good quality locks and feed them through the wheels and the frame. Try and leave the bikes in a CCTV covered area, because this will put thieves off committing a crime.
Cyclists can also register their bike with the National Police-approved Bicycle Database to give bikes a unique reference number that can be traced by the police. We know where our stolen bike has ended up, and we've also filmed at least 5 devious bike thieves in the Wandsworth area. If the authorities want to take a closer look at our surveillance footage, they are more than welcome. While tracking technology plays its part in the fight against crime, there's nothing like good old-fashioned detective work, especially when it comes to stopping the criminal export of stolen cars from our docks. Based at the Port of Southampton, DC Nathan Ricketts of the National Vehicle Crime Investigation Service is on the front line. He starts each day with a check on shipping manifests. How legitimate are the contents of each of these thousands of export containers?
There's thousands of containers that go out of the country, so the easy ones are the ones that are manifested as vehicles. Obviously that gives us a straight in, but the harder ones are probably the ones that are manifested as other things like machinery, household goods, but contain vehicles, so they're hiding obviously their contents. The East African coast take an awful lot of the UK stolen vehicles, so we concentrate on the ports of Tanzania, Mombasa and Boma, which will then feed into other countries like Uganda and places like that. So where they were loaded in the United Kingdom is a real important thing for us. Certain areas have got real vehicle theft problems, so if they've been loaded near to those areas, it gives us a little bit more insight that maybe we need to be looking at that box and seeing what's inside.
Some of the information on the manifests gives away more than the exporters might think.
Obviously, the ones that aren't declared as vehicles, so if it's declared as household and personal effects, you would expect the contents of somebody's house to weigh well over 12 tonnes in weight.
This morning, Nathan has been in top gear and found several containers that he wants to take a close look at.
This container here, it was loaded in Coventry. Around the West Midlands we do have a vehicle theft problem, and it's listed as household effects going to Tanzania.
The first container appears to be full of used refrigerators, a common export to Africa.
Probably going to be okay. We can have these sort of containers scanned to show if they do contain vehicles, which does assist us. I'm quite happy this container is alright, and it is what it says it is. We now reseal them with a unique seal, tell the shipping line what that seal is, so that when the shipper gets it in Africa, he knows the seal that he should expect to see on there.
The fridges are cool, but what about the next container? Well, it's very hot indeed.
The main thing for me at the moment is I can see there's no straps holding the wheels down. So if this was my £70,000 Range Rover, why are you shipping it in a container it lifts and goes on the back of a lorry? It moves, it'll go onto a vessel which moves. If this was to shift into the side of the container, it will do quite a bit of damage to that vehicle.
As pictures of Nathan's previous catches show, the criminals have little concern for the condition that stolen cars will be in once they arrive at their destinations. Nathan begins his checks and quickly finds clues that the car has had its true identity hidden.
That isn't what I would expect to see from Land Rover. That isn't one of their visible VIN numbers, so that suggests to me this could well be a stolen vehicle.
The VIN number, or vehicle identification number, is a unique code found on every vehicle. To hide the origins of this one, the criminals have tried to replace its original VIN with a false one. Easier said than done.
On a physical point, it can't just be removed. To change the VIN number, you have to put a lot of effort into paint it, grind it off and put a new one in. So these areas always usually put somewhere very difficult. As you can see, it's between the engine and suspension here, so it's quite difficult to get tools and equipment in there, i.e. to deter the criminal from changing it. The VIN number that's stamped on the suspension strut there is not what I would expect to see from a Land Rover. That one is of good quality, it is good, but it isn't quite what I would expect to see. So it is pointing towards that this is a stolen vehicle, it's had its identity altered.
Nathan searches for clues in the hope of finding the vehicle's true owner. Panels have been removed in the boot, suggesting that thieves may have been looking for GPS trackers.
That's exactly what I would expect to see. Someone's had the wheel out but not stowed it correctly, and there is panels been pulled off here, and the jack's out as well, so expecting to see that somebody's had a good look round in this, presumably hoping to find a tracking device to remove it.
Nathan has already found 2 of the car's VIN numbers have been altered, but there is one more to check.
That's where I'd expect to see the VIN sticker. As you can see, it's peeling off. It should match these stickers and look this quality and be stuck firm. You shouldn't be able to pick them and peel them off, so that looks quite papery to me. So definitely fake and definitely not as it should be.
The criminals who stole this car have worked hard to hide where it came from, but they've made a schoolboy error.
I've just opened the glove box, and you would expect to see the Land Rover user manual and things like that, but handily there's an online service warranty book which has its true VIN number and identity, which differs to this one. So I'm just going to do a check on the police national computer on that and see what that comes back as. For the consumers watching this, there is some simple things you can do. Crook locks. They're really unattractive, but if you're a criminal looking at a car to steal, if it's got a crook lock, they'll go down to the one down the road that hasn't. And if everyone does that, they'll protect their product. Brilliant. Thanks very much.
A quick call to the National Police database confirms Nathan's suspicions.
Yes, it is stolen. It was stolen on the 22nd of February 2015 from London. It's not just a case of vehicle theft, vehicle export, it's also trying to fool us. They're hoping that we don't know enough about vehicles that it can get it through, so they're going to extra steps to try and beat the system. On this occasion it hasn't worked. We're going to shut the container and send the container to Africa because that's what the criminals paid for. It's a really good hit for us and a good result, and one of many more, I hope.
This car has since undergone forensic examination to find clues that will lead Nathan to the criminals who stole it. The car will soon be returned to its rightful owner in London, while an empty box will arrive in Africa. Officers like Nathan do their best to prevent stolen vehicles leaving our docks. But GPS tracking technology has often stopped vehicles getting that far. For instance, plant machinery, an estimated £70 million worth, is stolen from our roads each year. So when a telescopic handler went missing from the High Wycombe area one weekend in November 2012, its owners were quick to respond and contacted their tracking company.
We were first made aware of the theft of this telehandler. I think it was around about 7:30 in the morning. A customer phoned us and told us it was no longer on site. So the first thing we do is to switch the tracker into a live mode, which will wake it up and keep it awake until we've actually done the recovery.
Once switched on, the tracking device pings a signal that reveals an approximate location.
The telehandler had been at the weekend in the High Wycombe area. When it woke up after we sent it the keep awake message, it was in the Slough area.
Already 30 miles down the road, the stolen telehandler wasn't sticking around. The tracking team acted fast to pick up its trail.
We noticed that the tracker was showing that the vehicle was possibly moving around the M25, so we instructed our agent to actually go on the M25 and try and find it. The particular telehandler that was stolen on this occasion was a fairly new one, and I believe the capital cost of it was in the region of £35,000.
That's £35,000, and for a vehicle that only goes 15 miles an hour. It was clear that the thieves had loaded this valuable asset onto a lorry. The tracker signal showed the telehandler was heading east, so if it was on the back of an open lorry, it should have been easy to spot. Police joined the search, posting lookouts from bridges over the motorway.
We were a bit concerned that the police kept coming back and saying they couldn't spot it at all, so the conclusion was that we thought it must be inside a lorry of some description, probably a curtain sider.
To identify which truck was hiding the telehandler, the team used another element of the tracker's technology. They picked up its radio frequency signal with a tracking wand.
This is an example of one of our wands that we use. So we turn on a radio beacon, which gives us a method of pointing exactly in the direction that the unit is, listening to the ping of the beacon and able to actually narrow down exactly where the unit is.
Even though the trackers were closing in on the stolen telehandler, they had no idea where the thieves were taking it.
It was apparent that the device was moving around the M25, and then it turned off and down the M20. So we assumed at this time that it was possibly heading for Dover.
With the truck heading towards the port, time really wasn't on their side. They had to deduce which lorry was carrying the machine before it left the country for good.
As the recovery agent was proceeding down the M20 in chasing the lorry, he eventually started to pick up a faint signal.
The motorway was awash with lorries en route to the docks, and it could have been any one of them.
As he got closer to the lorry, the signal increased, so by actually going past the lorry and then dropping back, he was able to identify which lorry had the stolen piece of equipment in it.
A fantastic result. Amidst all that traffic, he's got his man. Now it was just a question of keeping the lorry in his sights.
He noticed it was a Polish registered vehicle, and at that point we asked the Kent police to be at the docks and try and stop it before it boarded the ferry.
The trackers followed the lorry all the way to Dover, where Kent police lay in wait. They intercepted the thieves before they were able to board the ferry to the continent, and the tracking team recovered the stolen telehandler.
If the telehandler hadn't had a tracking device on it, it would have gone forever. It would never have been recovered. The feeling everybody gets at the end of a successful recovery is that everybody's very pleased, including the customer and ourselves, that our tracking device has worked well again.
So that's another victory for the trackers in the fight against crime. Happy days. The most stolen items in the UK today are smartphones, around 300,000 each year. Even so, many enterprising consumers have used security apps to track down their stolen telephones.
It's getting easier, for example, to disable your phone if it's lost or stolen, and obviously it's harder for thieves to then make use of your phone fraudulently or to sell the handset on.
What's more, it's now possible to use older, discarded phones as tools for home security, a means of bringing criminals to justice. Take a look at this footage filmed in Arizona.
I saw them bust in. They brought their police dogs with them, and they had SWAT gear on. So it was sort of fun for me to watch while they stormed the house.
That American lady, Mia, is talking about a police raid in her own house, which she recorded on her phone by remote control while she was at work. But this isn't just about a police raid on a house in America. This security app was designed in the UK and has been used successfully here too.
There was one burglary here where the culprit was known to the police, and the owner of the property was disappointed with the conventional CCTV system that was installed outside the building. It was known to the burglar that it was there, so he was obscuring his face with a hoodie when entering the building, and so the footage was useless.
The thief hadn't reckoned on one of the residents turning a disused phone into a CCTV camera. That's what caught him in the act.
He had taken off his disguise and was caught in full view of the camera. The police were alerted. He had fled by then, but they recognised the individual who was walking around the property, and also for scenes of crimes officers, they were able to see what objects he had touched. So with very little effort, they were able to work out where to focus their fingerprinting work and get an ID on the person. In fact, he was arrested later that afternoon.
Pretty good work for a free app and a recycled phone. In the last year, it's been estimated that there are £2.7 billion worth of unused mobile phones in the UK alone. James's security app finds a use for old phones that might otherwise end up in the recycling.
What used to involve an alarm company coming in, charging you an annual fee, setting up a system that you would more often set off by accident than for reasons of a genuine break-in, is now becoming very easy for anybody to do.
So when is a phone not a phone? Well, when you place it in a convenient position in your home and something moves in front of the camera, you can set the phone to alert you by email or text message. It also allows you to stream live pictures or record them. Around 20% of the app's users are based in Britain, with the remainder in America. Mia Ungayan decided to use it to keep an eye on her dogs while she was at work. Little did she know that it would alert her to the presence of a thief.
My dogs had been barking at something for 15 or 20 minutes, which is pretty unusual for them to bark at something for that long. And finally, I saw that there was a man in the living room. He spotted we have a jar of treats right on our kitchen counter, and he spotted that when he walked in, gave them to my dogs. I think he knew that that would make them like him.
Stunned at the violation of her home, Mia alerted the police, who arrived in time to stop the intruder causing too much damage.
Do you have any idea what the burglar was trying to steal?
He had gone through like our medicine cabinet and just different parts of our house. So I think he might have been looking for prescription medicine.
Right.
Or something.
Had it not been for the phone app, Mia would not have been alerted, and the thief would not have been stopped in his tracks.
We've heard other stories since then of people using the app and catching burglars when they were actually just trying to look at their pets. So yeah, we got a great thrill out of it.
In both cases, the American drugs thief and the English burglar, the videos formed material evidence, and the crooks were given short prison sentences. That'll teach them. From 157 days of filming and more than 250 hours of footage, Thief Trackers has investigated the problem of the petty thief. Using a combination of tracking technology and dogged detective work, we've tracked the thieves down to their own backyards. We've seen crooks working as a team, like these two women, stalking their prey, waiting to strike. And when their victim was distracted, they pounced. In a second, the handbag was gone. Our cameras apparently captured the same bag snatcher on 2 occasions a year apart, still thieving in the same street. Distraction thieves work in pairs, as in this incident involving our laptop. One distracts the victim, and the brazen accomplice steps in, so our laptop disappears into the night.
It's a classic piece of deception theft. The victim's attention's been distracted and he's just gone for it. I've got a multi-storey car park here just over my right shoulder. He may have gone into there, looked at the laptop and maybe secreted it to come back a short time later.
Among many extraordinary incidents of theft, our cameras captured this shocker. People stealing from donated items left outside a charity shop, treating it like a help-yourself buffet.
No, it's morally reprehensible. It's the same as taking a charity collection box.
We've seen how easy it is to lose our valuables to opportunist thieves if we're not vigilant. Our tablet computer caught the eye of this passing snatch thief, who snuck in and pinched it while the owner was briefly distracted.
Within an hour of the original theft, the data showed that the tablet was in an electrical shop which was less than half a mile from the original site of the theft.
Our smartphone suffered a similar fate when a thief whisked it away. And this bag snatcher was caught on CCTV and on our cameras too, as he helped himself to a designer handbag.
It's really, really, really disgusting.
With the help of amazing tracking technology, we've been side by side with trackers and the police as they've hunted down and successfully recovered stolen property. Tracing pilfered goods to Essex, uncovering a caravan in Cheltenham, and tracking a hijacked motorbike all the way to Lithuania. With all this impressive footage, perhaps the authorities would like to take a closer look at what we've uncovered and rid the streets of these sticky-fingered lawbreakers.